The following review is intended for entertainment purposes and targeted for adult fans of the series,
as well as the triumphant vocal return of Campbell Cooley. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to Just the Facts on Dino Fury Episode 10, Phoning Home. The episode begins at Area 62, where Void Knight and Mucus are creating a brand new robotic general, Slither, a master of disguise and illusion, as well as the triumphant vocal return of Campbell Cooley. Void Knight tasks Slither with retrieving the Sporix chest. Meanwhile, at Dino Henge, Zayto is working on a transmission to Rafkon, while Solon accidentally makes him some Rafkonian dog food. Slither is hiding nearby and hears that Zayto really wants to hear from someone from home. There is then a Jane and Jayborg scene that has nothing to do with anything. The Rangers train with a little capture the flag at Dino Henge when a storm cloud teleports in a flashy woman named Arla who claims to be a knight from the planet Rafkon. Yeah, this is the Just the Facts version, so skipping to the end on this, Arla is actually Slither in disguise. Arla says that Rafkon technology has advanced to the point that Sporix now can be destroyed, but Solon is suspicious and skeptical, which annoys and saddens Zayto. Slither tells Void Knight that they need the Rangers distracted in order to steal the Sporix, so Void Knight attacks with some henchmen. Arla goes for the Sporix, but Solon tests her by giving her some of the dog food, which she pretends is delicious. The jig is now up, and Solon teleports the two away, but Slither blasts Solon and goes straight back. But this time, the Rangers interrupt Slither going for the Sporix. They find it odd that Solon would leave the base in the middle of a fight, so everybody but Zayto leaves to go look for Solon, while Zayto helps Arla with the Sporix. Seeing Solon's datacom, Zayto gets suspicious, reading Arla's mind and figuring out everything that's going on. He then pulls a Solon and teleports the two away into the city. The two fight one-on-one for a bit before Zayto calls the other Rangers. The Rangers knock Slither back, and they respond by turning into Rustafa, who, yes, is a cockatrice monster. Zayto calls the Zords, they form warrior formation and use the slick key to get the upper hand on the monster before blasting it away. Slither of course survives, but develops robot amnesia. Mucus takes advantage of this to claim that they really are best friends. Zayto apologizes for being an idiot that believed in Arla too quickly, but Solon never apologizes for being so snotty about her suspicions. I mean, am I ever that snotty about balancing the scales? Episode 10, Phoning Home. Pros: Campbell Cooley's fantastic return to the show, a decently paced little suspense piece, and some nice Solon focus. Cons: could have held the Arla suspense out a little longer, use of more Rustafa footage feels a little cheap, and Jane and Jayborg at their absolute worst. Much, much better. Some issues remain, but better. Phoning Home gets 3.75 scales out of 5. Anyone who remembers the show-running splendor of Cosmo Royale knows that Campbell Cooley has a voice fit for an entertainer, so he is a perfect fit for the showy, braggadocious, exuberant Slither. We've known that Campbell was in Dino Fury for a while now thanks to a leaked photo of a table read, but it's still just nice to know what character he's playing and to have that confirmation. There was something overall about the pacing of this episode that I just really liked. Zayto tries to find family again as the bad guys create a new general. Slither uses Zayto's desire for their own gains. Solon has her suspicions, which causes conflict within the team. Then the truth comes out, and then there's a big fight. It just kind of goes beat for beat for beat, moves in nice little acts that just had a very nice pace to it. Speaking of Solon, it's always nice to see a side character get plot focus, and especially Solon. She has a very interesting backstory that we're just getting little tiny bits and pieces of. She may have been right this time, but we got to see some very negative aspects to her character. jealousy, pride, anger. Not quite that sweet and matronly dinosaur that we thought. Arla, and I mean the specific fake character aspect of Slither, was an interesting character in her own right, and I felt like we were really setting up a Heckle from Dino Charge situation. The two are remarkably similar if you think about it. Inhuman villains with kind of flashy, bright humanoid forms trying to get in close to the Rangers to get a power source. But here I was thinking the Heckle thing resolved too quickly in 3 episodes. Only the 1 for Arla. While it was used a little bit creatively, I just feel like using more of the Rustafa Zord footage comes off as a bit cheap. I get that giant Zord footage against the Slither suit probably comes much later in the story, but burning more Sentai footage is always a focus for the old bean counters. I'm not saying I need original Zord footage to introduce a new general, but just like have a monster that was there to kind of help out and then just use that Zord footage. When I skipped past the first Jane and Jayborg scene, I flashed back to when I had done that for a previous episode, and then their idiocy tied into the plot, and I had to go back and explain what had happened. I was bracing myself to have to do that again this time around. So I'm actually not sure whether I'm more happy or frustrated that no, this didn't tie into the plot at all. It was useless, stupid comic relief, which forgot once again that for something to be comic relief, it has to be funny and actively takes away from this episode.
Ha! It's funny because... Actually, it's not funny.
There are some lingering issues. The pacing was a little bit off. The lesson was a little bit weird. But overall, this was a needed return to form for this show. This is kind of what I was talking about when I said I liked the story to go from story beat to story beat. This was a plot that involved the show's story without being an incredibly plot-heavy episode. Just something happening to move that plot a little bit forward. Maybe something else will happen to move the plot forward in Dino Fury's 11th episode, the last one that we currently have on Netflix. Okay, seriously, is this really the title? Alright, McScary Manor. Amelia investigates a haunted house against Pop Pop's wishes. When the ghost puts Amelia in jeopardy, she discovers the reason for her grandfather's overprotective attitude. By the by, speaking of expectations, that's the episode that I've heard the most good things about, so we'll see if these 3 episodes just get better as they go on. That's going to do it for another Power Rangers Dino Fury episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. Now that the video's done, you can let me know what you thought of this episode, as well as my review of it, down in the comments below. And while you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button to let me know that you enjoyed this video. And if you'd like to support the channel by picking up some nice Orange Ranger merch, such as this shirt, you can head over to teespring.com/OrangeRangerVideos. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. God, I smell good. Slither tells the Rangers, but Solon never apologizes. Campbell Cooley has a voice fit for an entertainer. Campbell Cooley has a voice fit for an entertainer. So he is a perfect fit, the reuse of, not reuse. When I skipped back,